good morning, everyone. Good evening to everyone in the US and afternoon to everyone in Europe. As usual, talking about the recent videos this week, two related videos basically on the same topic. The last one I posted was a follow-up, basically about looking at why women go for the bad boys, aside from the usual biology, alpha, leader, um, protector, blah, blah, blah. What it actually says about her. Maybe trying to look at it from her perspective. And I think this is sometimes what can be helpful for guys, because a lot of guys resist it. I think because, again, you can only look at it from your own perspective. You can try and sympathize, or you can try and work it out until someone sort of can frame it from a point of view that helps you understand finally. But I think that if we can try and sympathize from her point of view, that's the best chance we can have to make sense of it. Because a lot of us guys, logically so, we look at it from our point of view only. And how we see things is how a guy sees things. I mean, even how guys see things. I often see things vastly, vastly different from the next guy. And there's already a degree of separation between individual men. But on the whole, men kind of understand our blueprint. Like when you're talking amongst the guys, it's not only your point of view, it's how you can see the same point of view in a relatable way. With a woman, it's completely different. It's completely different. So in this sense, for our benefit, what's a good way that maybe we can see it other than the cartoonish bad boy and annoyed at how nonsensical a woman just picks the biggest brute, but she says she wants the opposite. She wants security, but then she picks the opposite to security. And while it might be true on the surface from a guy's point of view, you can reject that, and rightly so. I have too. But just to kind of see it from a point of view that she's picking it on how she feels and what it allows her to be in that moment, what responsibility it allows her to absolve. Because us guys, we think of it from the point of view of the chess game that we would be responsible for going forward. You know, I bought this because I want to do this and establish this, and there's a goal to me doing this, especially something as life-changing as the partner you pick or the job you pick. You know, anything a guy would do in his life, someone else would be saying, okay, why did you do that? And then a guy would come up with rational reasons or try and explain, so he doesn't look like a fool, why he made the big choices in his life that he made. And another person in your life, an intimate partner, that's a big choice. It's kind of, okay, why did you pick this person to the exclusion of all others out there? And a woman will rationalize it. It's just feelings, and yeah, I know he's a bad guy, but you know, I've got a big heart. You know, I think I can change him. BS. If we can actually look at it from her feeling state and her non-responsibility state, I think that makes more sense than our logical state as though she was a guy. Why would she be doing this if she was a guy? There must be a logical reason. There must be a biological reason. Even if she doesn't have a logical one, maybe her biology has got the logical steering wheel on this human. It's like, no. Try and look at it from her point of view for your own sake. So, anyway, let me know if my audio and video is okay. And if you guys want to ask a question during the live stream, if you're here live, on the right, if you're in the stream, make sure you put a whole bunch of emojis just before your question if you want to ask me something. Otherwise, feel free to talk amongst yourselves. Hey, Rocket. Hey, David. How you guys going? Hey, Schlitz Malzlicker. Got some regulars in the house. The midweek one, it's I've only been doing it for a couple of weeks now, so it's new to me. And let's see if it can get any traction. But I'll have another stream in 2 days on Sunday morning. So never fear, I'm still here. All right, while you guys ask any questions. Hey, Quaz, how you going? While you guys ask any questions, I'll read out some notable ones, especially from my the video prior to the last one. This one here. So she likes bad boys. And the different way I was thinking about maybe why she I mean, there's going to be different perspectives. It's not like my answer is the only one. Sometimes it's funny when guys think that I'm proposing the answer to all. It's kind of like, no, it's maybe something to consider, something that's useful to me and clarifies a whole lot, where I'm not mentally trying to deal and make sense of and organize her world for my benefit. Like, so one comment by Jared was, "You're not in a boring relationship, sweetie. You're in a healthy relationship. Healthy means less drama and the security you say you want." And this is at the heart of a lot of men's friction and frustration with many women, is that they want two opposing things. They want the foundation of security while having constant variety. And I'm not saying that's most women. The sensible ones prioritize what's important, and they give the residue of their lives once the stability of security is taken care of by themselves and their partner. Then when they have a pocket of time or when they can feel like it, it's kind of like when you've got spare money. You know, you've taken care of your utilities, your bills, your stability, and then if you want, you can gamble it away on, you know, an investment, or blow it on a big night out, or whatever you want to do. You can blow it on having fun, and if it doesn't work out, you're fine with having risked that with your eyes open, and if you lose it all, it's fine. But yeah, women are the worst gamblers in this way. It's like, okay, like for instance, I hear much more stories, both personally, I've heard them, I've really never heard it from guys. I've never heard, and this is the story, I've never heard from guys saying, I had a really great girl, she was the best, and I just dumped her because I was bored and I thought I could do better. She was kind of plain. I really wanted to settle down. I wanted kids, I wanted a family, and she was perfect, but I thought, you know, I can get someone prettier. I can get someone better personality, better whatever. I've never come across that in my life, and I'm sure there's been guys like that. There's always outliers, but I've never sort of come across it even as an anecdote on the internet or anywhere else, and I'm sure there is. But the mean in the middle, there's much more stories. I've heard a handful in my own life. I hear them all the time online, where women had a great guy. They wanted a family. This is the important thing. They wanted a family someday, but they extend the party forward. They're basically, they're kind of like binge drinkers, or someone at a table that's playing poker, and they've lost so many chips that they don't want to walk away from the table with, they don't set themselves a limit. And so they don't get to a point where they say, okay, I'm only going to stay this long. I've lost this much money and I'm going to leave now. I'm not going to lose all of it. But they risk it all. And some people, they say that's the great thing to do. It's a Hollywood sort of trope. You know, risk big to get big, right? That's fine. And I'm an advocate of calculated risks and, you know, taking the adventure of life and and not sort of just being beholden to absolute sterile safety. But they risk everything. They break up families. They leave their husbands. Their kids have broken homes, and it's all because mummy wants to find herself. Mummy's not happy. You know, she wants the honeymoon period again and again and again. She wants to be made to feel special. Quasimandias says, we all tend to gravitate without reflection towards those strategies that worked for us first. A woman seeks power in her male partner and physically least mature male form of power. I don't know what that last bit means. But yeah, I've said this before. If you want one precept that will cover most things in terms of what women are driven by in terms of a guy, what they want from a guy, make a woman feel safe. That's it. If you remember nothing else, remember that. That's why they like guys to make them laugh. Because if a guy makes her laugh, she'll feel like she'll know that life is kind of hard. She might be anxious about a few things, but if this guy can laugh and he's calm, he laughs at the face of life, I'm gonna be next to him. He'll keep me safe. He's not afraid of anything. He laughs at life. Whereas I'm nervous at life. I'll side with him. So that's why they like guys to make them laugh. That's why women will prefer a guy with a lot of money compared to someone who's broke, makes her feel safe. And yes, it does translate from a guy's point of view into you're a human doing, not a human being. It's what you can provide or make her feel rather than who you are as a person. And that's the betrayal for men. I think guys would have less of a problem if women were more honest and say, like, yeah, like you hear a lot of the honesty of women online. They make little TikTok and YouTube skits and say like, oh, look, this woman's finally honest. This is what women are really like. Yeah, most women aren't like this. Obviously, on a date, they're on interview mode and they tell you everything you want to hear. But we can't keep blaming strangers that we never interrogate in the nicest and most civil way possible for our own sake, that we get to know exactly where they're coming from, what their morals are, what their standards are. Do the ends always justify the means towards how they want to feel happy? And they're happy to step on your neck and then justify it and say, well, mummy needs to be happy. I need to find my bliss. Nadine said, I've noticed that women who like bad boys are inwardly empty and chronically bored. Yeah, I mentioned this in the last video. And are unable to feel love, empathy, or compassion for anyone because they are dead inside and can't form attachments. They need destructive stimulants like drugs, drama, and bad boys to feel anything at all. Moreover, these women can't grow or mature because they are completely empty inside. Amen. My ex before my last one was precisely like this. I mistook it for maturity. She was anything but a bimbo. She was well spoken, intelligent. She like when you learn lessons where you think, oh, this person isn't all the warning signs of my last ex. This person doesn't have all the pitfalls that I recognize in my last ex. They are refreshingly mature. No, you've mistaken maturity or being quiet for sort of stability. She had a lot brooding inside her. She was very empty. She didn't like herself. She was always looking for validation. She had a bad temper. And during the honeymoon period, she kept all of that under wraps. Because I'm completely the opposite. I think I was an antidote to her life, to be honest. I'm a very, very calm person. In case most of you haven't noticed, most people who get to know me realize that I'm much more calm and I have much more sense of equanimity compared to most people out there. It takes a lot for me to sort of crack it. My fuse is really long. And that's not always a good thing too. You know, I stayed in it, past relationships much longer than I should have before, to make sure I was absolutely right in leaving. So that's a good thing, but at the same time, I wasted too much time. Make sure also, guys, that if you feel like having a chat after this stream, if you've got a microphone, jump on my Discord. New link to my Discord in my About section of my YouTube channel. I refreshed the link because we're getting a few spurgs coming in more and more. I think kind of in the last year since I've started and made public my Discord server for conversations for everyone. Getting a lot of people who like to come in and provoke and debate, and really they're not into my content, but they see an opportunity to have fun at the expense of others. Dami713 says, glad to see you're on time. I was only like, I think it was like 3 minutes late. Generally, I try and be late, set the alarm, all that sort of stuff. What's your approach to getting over a recent breakup of 2.5 years that was very amicable due to the worldview and life path differences? That sounds like something I went through. In my late 30s, I went through a very amicable breakup, and it was also about 2.5 years, that relationship. And why do I look blown out? It was also it was a really good relationship. I actually didn't feel too bad. This was the funny thing. All the dysfunctional ones where I wasn't compatible, I tore myself apart. I had sleepless nights. I couldn't work it out. I went through hell getting over the worst, most incompatible women in my life. The best relationships, I think I came to terms with them very quickly, and I also wished them well. I wasn't angry, and it's because I was compatible. There wasn't a lot of question marks. We came to a point where we were on such different paths that because we cared enough that we were sort of open enough to kind of discuss it and make that decision. So for me, I didn't go through a lot of anguish. You might be feeling differently. I would hazard to guess that there were a lot of incompatibilities that split you apart. And look, with me, the incompatibility that split me apart from that ex was that she wanted to have children. And that was like a big change in life where I don't want to have kids. Kids are a deal breaker for me. Because that's just a different part of life. And look, I see nothing wrong with if you want to have kids. It's a very normal thing. I'm abnormal in that way. I'm just not wired that way. Probably too selfish in terms of I realize what my responsibility would be there. And before the fact, I don't want to make the choice. Like I want to make the responsible choice not to. Like most relationships, the best thing you can do, like the only thing that will help really is time first and foremost, and that's not in your control. And many of us responsible people, us thinkers, we don't like that. We feel like if we're just like, yeah, whatever. It's very hard to say, well, I don't care about something really important in my life. It's meaningful. I'm going to pretend that I don't feel the way I feel. I'm going to pretend that it wasn't important. I'm going to pretend my life isn't the way it is right now. We can't do that. But unfortunately, time will help you, but also spend time around good people in your life. Hopefully you have them. Don't spend a lot of time, especially after the breakup point, spurging online to make yourself feel energized or distracted from maybe what you need to face. I found writing really helped me a lot to get out what I was feeling and all of that sort of stuff. So time predominantly. Super Blue says, I've been disabled since the age of 30 and I'm 42 now. My parents support me, but won't be around forever. Is there any hope of finding a woman that wants to take care of a man? Would I find one? Unfortunately, that's very hard. You know, the, the relatively normal guy with a stable job and has his life together is below acceptable for most women. So, whereas our standard for women is much lower than their standards for us in general. Again, it's not about, I keep saying on my channel, it's not about trying to get the average woman. We just got to really condition ourselves to care about our values more, and that means that we just don't accept any woman and try and forge her into a partner. Just like your friends, if you're lonely, if you need company, I'm pretty sure it sounds silly to just pluck anyone off the street and try and find a friend, even if they're not really compatible, tolerate them because you just want someone around. It's different if you just ask a stranger, hey, can you help me move my couch? Because I've got no one else around. That's kind of a temporary functional thing, but relationships are much more than just functional. And I know in your case, it's probably a more function than the quality of a companion. But I would say that you would help yourself out even more. So imagine you just found someone who was relatively okay. You're lucky enough to find somebody, but you're not really compatible. It's still going to be hard because you're always going to be worried that what if she leaves? Your best chance is to be as self-sufficient as you can with, services from your community to help you if, you need more help where your parents can't help you anymore. And then just keep your standards at a bare minimum in terms of a compatible person, like a friend. That's what I would suggest. Thank you, Eric, for your super chat donation. His comment with his super chat is, is it necessary to examine your intuition or trust it 100%? No, the former. Question it, like really look at why you're feeling the way you are and try and understand it. You could be wrong, but especially these things with kind of women in relationships where you really can't read their mind. All you can do is interpret realistically. And the best way to do that is also to clarify with questions. Ask questions and talk to her. I was talking on a stream yesterday with a bunch of guys, and we were having a really great open conversation. And I was saying that we need to talk like this on dates, not about the topics specifically, not about like like the male self-help stuff and women's nature and blah blah blah, but just openly expressing what we want. So if there's a question, we ask it. If there's something that's not sitting quite right, that's tickling you at the back of the brain, you voice it. Even if you're fumbling through, oh, hang on, you just said this. What do you mean by that? So you just want her to clarify because something's bothering you. It doesn't make sense. Rather than saying, I'm not going to ask any questions because it's going to be awkward. If I ask her a question where I don't know the answer to, I really want her to explain it, and then she doesn't know how to explain it, and then this date's going to be awkward, then she's going to think, and I'm going to think, oh, we're not a match because we're asking serious questions. We want this date to be fun. Let's talk about banal stuff. Let's make jokes. Let's talk about whatever. Let's not talk about serious issues. I mean, I talk about serious issues in a lighthearted way. I mean, learn how to speak and imbue important conversations through some levity. So you can get a fairly good picture of this person you just met, rather than leaving the situation thinking, well, I like her, but I have no idea why. If someone were to ask me now, like, how did it go? Tell me about her. Why do you think this? If someone starts asking you questions about her, are you always saying, I don't know, I don't know? But I would say, trust your intuition, but don't jump and act. Don't be impulsive. Don't just because then you're just going by feelings. Men's feelings, the best we can do, our intuition, our feelings, whatever you want to call it, is to analyze them if we're unsure. If we've felt this before and we know what it is over and over again, it's kind of a reflex now, so we don't really have to think. We know how we feel about it. Although it's good to revisit these things. But always question, like all this stuff, all this philosophical stuff that I'm talking about and that I make videos about, it's me doing it for myself. I'm sort of, it's like training. You know, you don't just go on one walk and say, I'm healthy, I don't need to do anything more for the rest of my life. You keep training. It keeps the hygiene of your health up. And this is the same for anything mental like this. Know where you stand when it comes to the women you want to deal with. And that will make it very easy to know what women you won't deal with anymore. But if you don't keep the hygiene of how you're going to relate to women romantically, then you're just going to keep slipping into the biological autopilot. And then again, you're going to be telling war stories about how you effed up again. And then you don't want to be like women and say, well, yeah, let's point to women. It's their fault. I'm just a nice guy. And again, I said in the last video, I misspoke. I shouldn't have said nice guy in this video. I just kind of casually, I know what I mean by a nice guy, but I don't, but I realize that today, nice guy has come to mean a doormat. And I don't mean that. I mean a good guy, a decent guy with good values and morals. Chris says, I'm always mad about the double standards of touching a woman. If she touches me, there is no problem. But when a man wants to make a move on a woman, it's like walking in a minefield. Yeah. Yeah. That's why the clarification of conversation, vetting her via message, because most people are meeting each other online these days before they go on a date. Make sure you want to spend time going on a date. Don't waste your time with someone where there's a big question mark, where you don't even gauge any part of their personality. Speak to them via text, maybe via phone call. Get a feel of them. So then when you go on a date, it's not wholly starting from zero. But yeah, I understand. Like, it's not just the person you're meeting. She's got the law behind them they have to worry about just in case, because there's so many stories. Because people are hardly having long-term relationships nor want them. So everyone thinks that the short-term ones are the way to go. But the danger of the short-term ones is that you don't know anyone. And so the risks are greater. And especially if you're a guy who doesn't want to speak, who's not philosophically interested, you don't like conversation. This kind of stuff is very, like the stuff I do on my channel, how I speak and think, is to you overthinking it. It's like, well, good luck, man. You really need to overthink your thoughts about the person you're dealing with and how much time you want to waste, if any time at all. That's the minefield for me. Hey, Donna, how you going? Hey, Feral. Android. Rocket scientist says incompatible usually means she was way hotter than me. No Urizen says, I really like the discussions on the stream, human, but unfortunately it's always past 1 a.m. because of the time difference. Is there any way for such further discussions after the streams? Yeah, straight after the stream, but then again, it's going to be like 3 in the morning for you. After the streams, we jump on Discord. So, I suppose my Sunday streams are better for you then, because that would probably be early morning for you, like about 6 in the morning or something. So try and check out a Sunday stream. Maybe that'll be better. Otherwise, when? I have to do a stream at 3 in the afternoon my time sometime. It's hard to accommodate everyone all over the world. This is the thing. America is like my early morning is their late night. is Europe's mid-afternoon. So, and my main audience is from the US, and the next biggest one is from Europe. David says, as a man with disabilities, I can't tell you the number of women who turn me away because they think I'm looking for a nurse. I'm not. Yeah. Well, if they don't bother to talk to you, again, they're underneath it all, they're looking for safety. This is their primal instinct. We're not looking for safety. We're looking for a lot of different things. We're looking for someone who will respect us, but they're looking for someone to take care of us. They're looking for someone to take care of us structurally in their lives. We're looking for a comfortable, warm companion, just someone in our lives. Like, and again, like, I'm not being derogatory here. It's the same reason, like, I don't realize why women don't look at men, why our best friends are dogs. We don't require anything. We'll give everything to our dog. We just like the companionship. Just have a smile on your face. Be nice. Don't be difficult. Look at why a man's best friend is his dog. And then look at the way you're behaving. I'm not saying you need to behave like a dog. With women, it's like, I can just imagine the knee-jerk literal reaction saying, so human, you think... No. Philosophically, look at why men like dogs and what... And dogs don't do much, if anything. They're just a companion. That's nice. And stable. And consistent. Consistent. You know, the thing you need for a long-term relationship. But yeah, it's very, for most women, they find it really hard to see anything outside of their own point of view. You need to come up with a stupid analogy like, oh, ladies, you know, like when you go shopping and then you find that perfect handbag and blah, blah, blah. Like I have to come up, my writer's brain has to write a stupid effing story that'll make sense to that kind of simplistic way of life. Like, oh, now I understand where your meaning is, human, because you told me that dumb story about shopping for a handbag and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, okay, now you understand me, you dimwit. Sorry, I'm being a bit facetious, but it's exasperating. Exasperating, yeah. I always get exasperating and exacerbating mixed up. It's exasperating how just the basics of how someone will feel, taking it on face value and just understanding it from a human's point of view. Like if a woman's sad, she's sad. I don't need to see it from her point of view. I just need to sympathize she's sad and act accordingly and be supportive accordingly and not be a dick. Prince Revolver, thank you so much for the super chat. His comment is, when it comes to a man's feelings, everyone wants to dictate how and when a man expresses himself. Yes. Rather than just accepting it the way men do. See, this is the thing. Men have a much better time because we don't really get much with other people, and especially women, if we don't sympathize. We go on a date. We ask her out. She has to say yes. We have to wait until she's ready to kiss us, until she's ready to go to bed, until she says yes to everything. And men can be impatient, but we're civil and respectful enough to go, okay, not yet. She'll say yes when she's ready. But when a woman wants something, she wants you to say yes, she's not patient. It's like, why don't you do things that I want when I want? I don't get it. You're not a real man. I guess we're not compatible. No, you're childish. You could have had a good man, maybe, if you were less impatient and you had a little bit of sympathy and you weren't a spoiled brat that has never heard the word no. There's a lot of these spoiled brats out there in adult women's bodies that have never heard the word no. TV tells them they're worth it. Society tells them they can do no wrong. and that whatever they choose to do based solely on their feelings, impulsively, without thinking, can never be wrong. Good luck. Hit the like and subscribe, and join if you want to help the channel out. Ooh, Nadine's been saying things to get her kicked by our moderators. Be nice people, or our moderators with a wrench will kick you off. Okay. Yeah, Feral Android says, I used to do charity. It doesn't work. I help my friends and family, but they usually want to pay me back. Yeah. Stop doing charity for women. There's a lot of guys, I realize that it's hard for a lot of guys to get women, but sometimes, like, guys who are lonely or find it hard to get a woman, they finally get one, then they realize, man, it was much better being on my own. I thought it was bad being on my own. Now that I've got someone that's incompatible, especially, I will take being on my own. There's so many guys, they finally get what they want. You know the saying, be careful what you ask for? The quality of what you ask for is really important with women, with relationships. Again, there's certain circumstances, who was it? Like David sort of said, where he needs some practical help as well. It's not just the companionship, but for the most part, you want a personality that you can consider a friend. Yeah, Feral Android says, I pay enough in taxes. Yeah, why do I need to pay for a woman as well? Especially with your time. Wasted time is a really big cost, especially for guys. Cooper Time, thank you for the super chat donation. He says, my ex-wife used to tell me I didn't listen to her. I'd always reply, I listen, I just don't obey. I'll never be a woman's workhorse ever again. Good reply. A lot of, I'll be the first to admit, a lot of times I don't listen, and I need to get better at that. But a lot of times I notice if I'm in the company of people, they're talking about a subject that I have no interest in. They're talking amongst themselves, not me. So I don't want to pretend to be interested in reality TV just to be part of the conversation. I'll nod and kind of mentally be present like 10%, but I'll be looking around and thinking about stuff because the topic itself doesn't hold my interest. If someone asks me, I will try to give it attention, but Sammy B says, I would be inclined to question how common the genuine bad boy experience actually is. Typically, as men, we can encounter it anecdotally on first dates where she self-reports the problem. Yeah, I think women, that's a good point. Women tend to exaggerate how bad the guy is to elevate themselves. As I mentioned in the last follow-up video, this one, I think a lot of women on dates to sell themselves. By comparison, if you make the guy really bad, you make yourself look a lot better. It's not just that you distract responsibility from yourself by being with the bad boy or pointing to an actual bad boy, that falsely accusing someone, ladies, of being a bad boy is a good way for a lot of them to sort of say, oh, look how great I am. Look, I'm really painting a bad picture and I disagree with it and I didn't like him and that's why I left. Therefore, logically, I am the opposite. I'm a nice, even-tempered, patient, like, yeah, sure. So we imply a lot from what they complained about with their exes. So that's a really good point. Because we think of the cartoonish bad boy, the guy who looks like Mr. Olympia, full of tattoos, that banged your ex-girlfriend, and that's why you got with your girlfriend. Let's look, oh, poor, I really like her. She's attractive. She seems nice on the date. I seem to enjoy spending some time with her, and I feel sympathy. And this is the thing. Women garner sympathy for men, and men mistake the sympathy for love and affection. There's a great saying by Seth where he said, I think love is a combination of lust and pity. We pity a lot of women, especially via their own self-reporting, to sell themselves to us into a relationship. We pity them and then we mistake that for love. Ooh, I want to take care of her. I want to be sympathetic. Therefore, I feel good about that. Men feel good being sympathetic, helping, giving, being kind, doing stuff, helping someone out. So when you're helping her out emotionally, when she's telling you, poor me, this was my story, and you're saying, oh, great, come here, I'll be the opposite of that. You went out with a bad guy, I'll be the opposite of that. I'll make you feel better. Come here. Put your arm around her. Be very careful. Pay attention to what she's saying. Mistrust a stranger. Doesn't matter if she's in a short skirt and she looks hot. Make sure that, like her ex, if you listen and dig deep, you might realize, damn, me and your exes could have been best friends. He sounds like a pretty good guy. Therefore, I'm not going out with you. Who would I rather spend time with? Your ex, not you. That's pretty important to sort of realize. Let's change up the let's change up my my filter to reflect the cold Melbourne weather. Nah, that's not that good, is it? Let's yeah, that's better. Let's stay there. All right. Remember, guys, if you want to ask me any questions, on the right, if you're in the live stream, add a bunch of emojis before your question so I can see them visually on screen. And I know it's a question you're directing at me. Otherwise, feel free to chat. Another comment by Iron Yuppie. She never has to face the fact that she's inadequate as a person. Yeah, that's why they go out with bad boys too. This is another reason. It's very easy. It's almost like she's going out with a child. I think it's a misplaced parental thing where I'm in charge. I'm like mummy and he's like my big son. She never has to face the fact that she's the problem. Why would she? In comparison, she looks fine. A car crash doesn't look as bad when it's right next to a crashed Boeing 747. Yeah. By comparison, she goes out with, like, it's safe to go out with a bad boy because she's not responsible for it going anywhere. She's not really choosing with a bad boy. It's not like, have I picked the right guy? It's not. And every time women say, oh, you know, I've just got a big heart, I think I can change him, that is complete BS. I will always say this. Whenever women say, they give you these stories of these bad boys they continue to go out with, and everyone gives them sympathy as though it's not their fault. No, they like bad boys. That's why they pick them over and over again. Once, maybe twice, depending on how many people you've gone out with. But like, anyone can make a mistake. But if you continually go for the same bad boy, and that's just how you know, what you find attractive, that's what you like. Stop excusing it with, you know, I'm Mother Teresa. I want to help the poor. I want to help the broken. I've got a big heart. Like, you know, I should have been a nurse. I just want to fix people. No, you don't. You don't want to be responsible for a good choice. You're not really picking a guy. Okay, this is the guy I want to build a life with till death do us part. No. You want to have fun. You want it to work out via magic. You're the kind of person that believes that love is luck. And I say no thank you to those kind of women. If you go on a date and you really get the sense that she believes that love is just luck, like there's nothing you can do. Like, if you get along, doesn't make a difference. Like, you can fight with each other have makeup sex, all that sort of stuff. And she thinks, well, that's still a healthy relationship. Oh, couples fighting, that's healthy. It's like, no, I'm not going to have anything to do with a woman like that anymore. We've got to be sensible. Then you'll have less of these horror stories. Then you'll have less of a need to start a YouTube channel. This guy. I started a channel because I was still making the same autopilot mistakes and trying to rationalize, and I had no one to speak to. Try and be much more honest about things. Yes, Sammy says it serves the purpose of inviting us to be a better man and to step up. As men, we're very susceptible to that type of appeal. We love doing good things. It makes us feel good. When I do good things for my family and friends, I feel great, and it always comes back. It's never taken for granted. They treat me well. Whenever they ask anything of me, I say yes, because it comes back. You know, they treat me well. That's why I want to treat them well. My reflex is to treat them well because they always treat me well. And you should look for that in your partner too. Is her reflex to disagree with everything, to say no? Is it a push? Are you Sisyphus pushing a boulder uphill with cheeky poo? Or is her reflex, whenever you ask for something, whenever you tell her to do something, she wants to. She wants to contribute. She's actively engaging in this relationship, just the way your friends and family are actively engaging with a glass half full positive sort of character. Sammy continues, we instinctively see the potential to add value and find validation in it to the extent we completely sacrifice our own needs over the course of many years. Yes. Being blindfolded on autopilot is the reason for much of men's wasted time and misery. A lot of times we're annoyed at ourselves for wasting so much time with the wrong women. And if you're not introspective about your ethics and morals to do with relationships with women, but the simple fact is, we can't read their minds. If people would walk around, I thought this would be a great science fiction movie. If I had one ability, I'd love the ability to see, you see in YouTube videos and stuff where people show messages like popping up over screen. They're superimposed, like a message will go beep over someone's head. If you could go on a date and what a person was really thinking would just superimpose over their head, on top of their head, and you could read really what's in their thoughts, like a mobile phone feed superimposed over their head about their internal thoughts, that would save so much time. But unfortunately, we don't have that feed. We've only got interpretation, but our interpretation through our honest discussion and revealing as much as possible through a civilized and friendly chat is the way to go. That's the only way you're going to get the best chance of making the right decisions with another person, because you can't read their mind. Think about this, we haven't a hard enough time on our own. People drive themselves nuts mentally and need to see therapists because they can't even have a relationship on their own. If you can't have a good relationship on your own with yourself, what makes you think that someone else that's super nice, much more than you, can do the heavy lifting for your inadequacies? You got to be interested enough in this stuff philosophically and honestly enough where you know what's important in your life, and then you can start to recognize it, or the absence of it, in someone else. Rocket Scientist says, Human, do you think that women also exaggerate their bad boy experiences to subtly lay down rules for you to follow? Yeah, I mentioned this just earlier. They'll sell you a story as sort of fishing to make you do the opposite. So to stimulate the hero impulse in you. Like, I'm the damsel in distress. I've just gone out with bad boys over and over again. Poor me. Who will be a guy who's different to that? Yeah, you sitting across from her, listening to her BS story. Pay attention if it's real. If she's always going out with bad boys, even if she's right and honest, it's like, well, if that's the kind of guys you like, you're attracted to, that you can't say no to, and you don't date anyone else, again, I appreciate your honesty, but it probably won't work with me. You can go out on a couple of dates just to kind of make sure if you're being rational, but you really need to lay this stuff out in the open for yourself first and foremost. Not so you can expose her, like, aha, now I read her perfectly. You read her as perfectly or as well as you can for your own sake. If she's not for you, you wish her well. And let her find the next bad boy if that's who she's into. If she can talk in a very self-reflective way, and you can really see this person has changed. You know, when you talk to someone who was once an alcoholic, and it's been 5 or 10 years since they touched a drop, and they're happy, and they'll never go back, and you can trust them. Or someone who's been through a lot, and you could tell they haven't touched that part of their life, and they haven't been that way for like years and years and years, and they're really happy, and they'll never go back, they'll never relapse. People who don't want to relapse, they're conscious and responsible of how to act well and what a better life is. And although they may have this sort of little twitch where it's possible for them to relapse, they're open about it, and you could tell they're trying to better themselves. They're not BSing, they're not lying, they're not manipulating you, they're not trying to use you again like they have all their past relationships so they can blame you. Look for a responsible person. Yes, I know it's like winning the lottery out there, trying to find responsibility in a woman, but you're better off being on your own, being as responsible as you can for your own life, rather than adding irresponsibility for someone else and then making it twice as hard for you. It's like, forget it then. You'll be able to manage your life where you're at least trying to be honest about where you're irresponsible, where your Achilles heels are, and where it's hard for you. But if you kind of say, well, I'm going to ignore that by being with someone else who's really responsible so we can both BS ourselves, then I mean, you don't want to begrudgingly be on your deathbed and then finally realize the truth. That's kind of too late. You know, try and be as honest as you might be on your deathbed about the realities of life now. What's the harm? There is no harm. In fact, it can only do you well. You know, it's only going to do good, I'd say. Am I in focus? Come on. All right, guys, any final questions? How long have we been going for? Nearly an hour. Prince Revolver, thank you again for your super chat. He says, one of the biggest turn-offs I got was when a girl I dated fluttered over the thought of changing a damaged guy. At the time, I didn't have the courage to say it, but I lost all attraction for her. Yeah. She loves the broken. She loves the wrong. That's the impulse. Like I would share the same thing, Prince Revolver. I would think, you love awful crap. You know, I could rationalize it in beautiful language for me to say, like, I'm really into sort of watching the worst kind of, you know, love making between people online, like watching like the most egregious BDSM and stuff like that. And then I could imbue it with sophisticated language and say, you know what, because, you know, these people, they've been traumatized, and really, you know, them putting on gas masks and leather and rubber and stuff. And I really feel sad when I watch them. Like, you know, I'm not getting off on it. Like, I just really want to understand them and, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Nice try. Like, I would, any kind, if you're supposed to interact with something in life, like, let's look at what most people can agree with. A good, caring, loving relationship, generally, the dynamic looks like a certain thing. If it looks dysfunctional, you can make yourself look good for being addicted to the dysfunction. And that's what women do. Oh, I want to fix a broken man. I want to fix an awful person. I don't want to love and spend time with and contribute to a good person. I want to be with the worst person where I just burn all my efforts. I burn my time, my eggs, the kids I might have with them. I'm going to burn all of that. And then my excuse is, I'm just a girl. I'm just too nice. I have no ability to choose properly. It's like, well, then maybe you shouldn't vote. Maybe you shouldn't have a driver's license as well. If you're that naive and that, like, you're not just juvenile, you're a child. Guys won't commit. I wonder why. Why do the bad boys commit? Because they don't require anything of you. As it's mentioned in a lot of comments under the videos I did this week. A lot of these women who are dysfunctional, all they have is their bodies, they go for the bad boy because the bad boy doesn't require anything of them. The bad boy doesn't respect them, doesn't need a conversation, doesn't need anyone to have his back, doesn't need any sort of cooperative support or any kind of tandem life with anyone. It's kind of like he's using you for the bedroom. You can tag along as he drags you on his leash, but it's like you're just arm candy. You know, he loves you as an object. He really does. He doesn't love you as a person. Men objectify us. Yeah, the men you like objectify you. Schlitz Maltz Liquor. Thank you for the super chat. He says, continue the good work. Thanks. Continue supporting the channel, guys. Thank you very much. Like any good relationship, I reciprocate if there's a relationship going on. That's why I enjoy making my videos, because I enjoy editing and making videos, and I've got a lot of stuff I enjoy having conversations about, but also this kind of feedback is great too. Rocket scientist says human has fake eyelashes. No, but I've actually got fairly long ones, I've been told. Okay. Another comment by Dave. He says, women don't want the good guys because they subconsciously know they have nothing to offer other than sex. They know the good guys will see past their acts and their BS. They never learn how to offer anything substantial. It's just easier covering it all up with drama for the bad boys. Yeah, it's not me. Look at the big cartoon bad boy. It's like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. It's just easy to cover it all up with drama for the bad boys. Live miserable and throw hate in the wind of men, all due to their own shortcomings. Yeah. Let's kind of pick the train wreck. Like, if a bus is on fire and you caused it, it's very easy at that moment when the bus is on fire and everyone's looking at it. It's going, like, everyone's going to be looking at the fire. Even if you caused it, you crashed it. For a moment, people say, like, what happened? Oh, I crashed the bus. Oh, okay, let's look at the bus. Everyone's attention is captivated by the bus. And I think this is what the bad boy does for a lot of women. It's like, yeah, I chose him, but really people don't notice that. People notice what I chose, the person, because he's so big and cartoonish and outlandish and loud and rude and awful. He's a fairy tale. And the fairy tale is much more captivating than... It's almost like the writer. No one pays attention to the writer. You created that story. It's like, oh, look, but the story is the thing that captivates the audience, not the person who wrote it. And she's the one who wrote this story. She picked this character. This is the hero or the villain, more likely, in her story. What was really interesting is that I asked this question following these two videos. Aside from the biological arguments, why does she like the bad boy? From a guy's point of view, again, I want us to have a look at this again, not from a guy's point of view, but from a guy looking at it possibly from her perspective. You know, let's do something that most women can't do. Let's try and sympathize or even empathize if we can, even conceptually from a woman's point of view. What might she feel and what does it do for her? And it was a kind of smattering of different responses. I just threw up this, obviously there's going to be more responses, but you know, does it allow her to stay young and rebellious? All of these things are probably sort of true to some extent. She's not really committed because it won't last. I think this is a big part of it. And the second and third one, she's on holiday mode. They're kind of similar. It's not going to last, so it's not really a committed choice. She's on holiday mode. They're related, those 2 points. Or he's the only guy who can tolerate her emptiness. If you're a boring woman who only can put on the hot window dressing of looking sort of sexually attractive, but you don't have a character that's attractive, then all the bad boy wants, all the brute wants, all the Neanderthal wants is your body. And then, of course, yeah, all men are like this. Yeah, of course they are. Or other. And in terms of other, Pete's Fawn says, say booty, human, please. Booty. Why? The 9Axe says, the only woman I really wanted to commit to, enjoyed taking care of others and cooking for large friends and families and gatherings, was someone worth protecting and caring for. Yeah, look at her actions. Look at what she actually likes doing. And then if you get to know her friends, see if it's true. Was she only selling you, oh, I love cooking, I'm a good person, I'm this kind of person, and then when you meet their friends, her friends, it's like, no, they don't like her. She doesn't have any friends. They don't talk the way she talks about herself. When I talk to her friends and when I see the interaction, I don't see the picture she illustrated of herself for me. She's lying. So, let's read some of the comments. If you've got any final comments, guys, in this stream, on the right, shoot me some questions with some emojis next to them and we'll head for the finish line. Brian says the bad boy sees right through her BS and doesn't put her on a pedestal. On a subconscious level, she respects him for that. Yeah, at the very least, he's being responsible for seeing her as she is. Oh, he sees me. But, you know, I'm not going to have a good relationship. Yeah, KJ says being with a bad boy means she doesn't have to be a good woman. Yes, she doesn't have to try to be good, to be fair, to contribute, to be involved in and be a good person in the relationship. She can just be single and say she's in love. You can have your cake and eat it too. Sorry, you can eat your cake and have it too. That's the right way to say it, by the way, everyone. It's been mispronounced or misquoted for a long time. Everyone says, have your cake and eat it too. It's actually eat your cake and have it too. It must be terribly difficult for us for a slaw to wrestle with their own nature, being with dudes that treat them like they're expendable, that they are frees them from their sad burden while giving them all the excuses they need to avoid female kryptonite, aka accountability. Yep. Yeah. And RD says, and when it doesn't last, it's his fault because the bad boy won't grow up. Yeah, you picked a child. If I went out with, and it's been pointed out to me, when I've gone out with immature idiots, they pointed it out and I said, yeah, you're right. I'm embarrassed. Like I did go out with someone like that. And it was the reason why I just couldn't do it anymore. You got to be real with yourself. Otherwise, you're just going to repeat your mistakes because you're just going to pick your addiction again. And addictions, by definition, aren't that healthy. Jason says she's sold that in Hollywood. She feeds off of drama. The vampires, the werewolves, the bad guys need to be won over. She enjoys it. Yep. Well said. Yeah, Dutch Bastard 23 says she wants to play Beauty and the Beast. She wants to be the one in 1,000 women who tames this beast into her controlled man, but once he's given in, she moves on to the next project. Yeah, she doesn't want to tame, like, that's the lie, and I think that's an excuse she gives herself. If I went out with a stripper, a single mum stripper, I could say, well, poor girl, you know, she's a single mum, like, you know, she was on substances, she's going to rehab, she drinks a lot, she's got a temper, but you know what? She's got a great heart. And everyone would say, like, oh, you're too nice, human, but you're an idiot. And I would go with the latter. I'm an idiot. You can excuse your impulses and addictions with a lot of stuff. And I know how to pluck the most civilized, sophisticated, theatrical language out of thin air and make myself seem intelligent by making a stupid choice. I know I can do that, but we have to learn not to lie to ourselves. Don't lie to yourself ever. You will have a much better life. Corey says, I think it's like you said in the first video, she can relate to the immature asshole, and it's basically a fantasy drama. Your last two videos on this topic gave me something new to consider and think about. I agree with your observations. As a result, I see how women that go for these bad boy types are basically bad women, or at least bad women for someone like me. She's human. Thanks for the comment. Yeah, El Schlangador says she uses him as a proxy for doing bad girl things. Yes. He's the bad boy that's in front of her and no one sees her. She's a bad girl hiding behind the bad boy, and she can be bigger by using him as a scapegoat, you know. It's true. Until she moves to the settling phase, blames him afterwards to buy herself a good girl image for hubby. Yeah, oh, poor me. This bad guy took advantage of him. No, took advantage of her. No, you picked him. You wanted to be a child. And now you're tired of being a child. Now you want to settle down, and now you're ready for a real relationship when you're my age. Gaga says she respects bad boys for telling the truth to her face. Yeah, because he doesn't care about her. Like, think about it. We're much more courageous and brave, and we'll say what's on our mind to people that really don't affect us that much. Passing acquaintances, things like that. But the person that's kind of like you've gone all in with, I love this person, I live with them, you might have married, had kids with them, it's kind of like, I don't want anything to go wrong because I want to take care of this situation. I don't want this to fracture. And so you will search for words and act in certain ways where you're going to be less and less truthful if you're with someone that you've accommodated that's not a nice person. Anthony says she's addicted to the mistreatment and is replaying a dysfunctional relationship from childhood. That is true also. A lot of this stuff is residue from childhood. It would behoove many of us to really look at our childhood, not use it as an excuse, but look at where a lot of these frustrating reflexes to our addictions come from. Some guy says, because as humans evolved, the bad boy of the tribe was also the alpha, is an instinctual and drown. It's an instinctual as drowning their babies. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, the alpha brute, the bad boy, he was much more useful. But even back then, I would say, from what I've seen and read, is that there was still some honor in the bad boy that was respected amongst men. So here's the telling thing. I respect a bad boy that is respected by other men, by being intelligent, well-spoken, having a good life, a lot of stuff, not just what he has in life, but how he conducts himself and who he is. You would love to be his friend because of the person he is. Not what he has around him, not the song and dance, not the lie. You know, if you're respected by other men in general, that's not a bad boy. That's a man you respect. That's the kind of man that men respect and that women respect. If you're trying to make yourself into the bad boy that these pickup artist gurus online are telling you to be, that is the kind of guy that these dysfunctional, irresponsible bimbos want. And you're just going to have train wreck after train wreck after train wreck. You are better off having minor scuffles and skinning your knee and having, bad relationships that don't really ruin you and don't really waste your time, but where you can actually learn going forward and spend more time on your own until you do find someone that's made for you, or you find yourself alone because you just can't find the match. Either way, you're being much more responsible about how you conduct yourself in your love life. But yeah, these pickup artists, all they're doing is teaching you how to get the worst kind. They're teaching you how to get bad women. It's basically what they're doing. Tokyo Traveler says, they want to control the monster. They want to be the blonde woman that King Kong protects above all else. Yes, it's the Beauty and the Beast fantasy again. Tokyo Traveler's saying the same thing as someone previously said, the Beauty and the Beast metaphor. Pro tip, she's the real beast. Yes, that's actually an interesting point, Tokyo Traveler. Well said, I'm going to pin that. In the Beauty and the Beast fantasy, she's actually the beast. Think about it. Think about the Beauty and the Beast story. Aside from his temper, actually, yeah, she exudes nice qualities too. So I can't really say that, yeah, he's got the temper, but when you look at the moral conduct in terms of like, why would you pick a person like this? Oh, I can see what's underneath. Can you really? Most people can't initially. I think you hope that you can get the bad boy that allows you to be irresponsible, and then it'll magically turn out, which it usually doesn't. Oh, it's not my fault. The fairy tale didn't work out. Yeah, fairy tales don't. Real life does. Nadine, thank you for the super chat. She says, we should let women who love bad boys crash and burn. I agree. Let them do what they want. Don't be involved. She continues, giving them sympathy and support just enables them. Some people need to hit rock bottom. This is true. You can talk till you're blue in the face. There's videos about, improving your health, whether it's mental, physical, habits of your life, things like that. Most people don't change until pain hits. I think TFM sort of said this early on. You'll continue to eat bad food until you get to my age and you've gone so far and the doctor says you're going to lose a toe. You've got diabetes. We can manage your condition, but basically it's too far gone now. You're going to lose a liver. You're going to, you know what I mean? Like it's all downhill. And now you can sort of really be inspired, but it's all fear. It's not really rational, mature implementation of what good values are. It's, I was a child until I couldn't be a child anymore. Because I think we should let women crash and burn in their own petulant attitudes, because you can't help them. Women now are running the social sphere. What they say goes. They run the script, and men just shut up now. It's kind of like, all right, do what you want. End up alone, ruin your lives, And men are just kind of trying to keep the hygiene of their little worlds as good as it can be. So yeah, let these women crash and burn. Who cares? Just don't be part of their lives. If there's one thing I keep encouraging in my channel, yeah, I talk about relationships because they're the thing that ruin and affect a man's life. Like whether they're having a hard time on their own, they can't find someone, they would like a companion, they, you know, just someone to talk to, improving their lives, things like that. The one thing I want to help guys is to think better and have better lives, especially with women, because that's a massive part of people's lives. And if people can get that right, usually if you can get your relationship romantically with women right, most things are easy after that. Yeah, most people are saying similar things, which I agree with. Tempest Blade 1991 says she dates the bad boy because if it doesn't last, she can't be blamed or held accountable because he was never good to begin with. If he's a monster, then she's a goddess by default. Yeah, if she can't convert the beast from Beauty and the Beast, then it's not her fault. She tried, she just leaves him as a beast. If she converts the beast, it's like, oh great, I'm wonderful. I changed the beast. Everyone, so not only does she get the beast to love her, she gets the world to love her as well. So, yeah, I mentioned in the video, she can at the very least get sympathy and love from the world because she's a poor girl that, had a good heart and tried her best to save the beast. Why? Let the beast be the beast. And again, flipping, like saying that she's the real beast in the story. Let women be their own beast and let them ruin their own lives as well. Let the beast be. And I think just take a look at the bad boys, like the stereotypical image, the cartoonish, the exaggerated image. It's these kind of like bodybuilder type of guys with tattoos up to their neck, probably criminals. Like I'm exaggerating, right? But just the image. And they got like some really big pit bull on a leash or some, really aggressive, powerful fighting dog. And a woman sees like, oh, I can relate to that. I can relate to that dog. I'm like that. I'm obstreperous. I'm hard to handle. I'm aggressive. I've got a lot of character traits to that dog. Yeah, I can be with him. She sees a lot of relatability. Or she feels a lot of it. I don't think she's consciously aware of it. Perhaps we need to assess what makes a bad boy in the first place. Maybe. Again, like some of this stuff is interesting intellectually, but at the same time, how much are you going to waste in your life? A lot of the joy of life is actually choosing things and interacting with them, with people, with life, hobbies and routines and things like that. David says she's being rebellious and he tolerates her emptiness. The bad boy doesn't push back against her and her bad behavior because he's getting what he wants. Yeah, he just wants her body. It's not like the bad boy hasn't like gone all in on her. He's kind of put a chip on her, a chip on another girl, more chips on his own independent life. That like he gives like 10 to 20% at best to this woman. And this woman's giving the 90% to him or 100%. So in the bad boy dynamic, most guys out there act like the bad girl. Most of us guys out there, we act like her. The other person gives 10% of the relationship if we're lucky, and we give 90%, and we just tolerate giving all the effort. And these women do the same thing, but they get a lot more from it than we get from a bad relationship. We're probably both operating from similar points of view, but just in the same way that we need to stop dating bad women. This video is shining the light of, women dating bad men. We're effectively like the way the dating market and all that stuff out there is talking about women, and it's effectively saying, yeah, we're all choosing bad women, and how can we figure this dating game out with all these bad women out there? In the same way that women are saying, oh, there's all bad boys out there. We need to start picking better as well. Yes, society encourages most women to be bad as well, rewards them, and they're much more common than the bad woman. Sorry, than the bad boy. The bad boy is a lot rarer than the bad woman out there. I would agree with that. Andrea says none. It's her childhood programming. Unconscious. We learn human relationships as children. Our parents model us. No matter how abusive their relationship is, it becomes normal. Imagine your parents treated you, blah, 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 blah. It's true, men and women alike. Yeah, but you have to be responsible. You can't just say, well, I was treated like this as a child, so any abuse I give to my partner, this is the way I am. You can't handle me. You can't handle a strong, powerful woman or guy, an obnoxious kind of, like, yes, I can. I don't have to handle them. How about that? You can handle yourself. Some women like the bad boys because they're addicted to stress and anxiety. Yeah, women love drama. It's almost like if their love story doesn't look like a stressful romantic drama, like with a lot of stuff goes wrong and then miraculously there's just a moment at the end where it works out, but the whole story is chaos. That's what they see as real love. No, thank you. Anyway, guys, there's a lot of good comments. I don't think I can go through all of them. Greg says, well, you know, why are they with bad boys? It's because it's what they relate to most, being a jerk. The bad boy is relatable. In a simple word, the bad boy is relatable. True. I pinned that comment. That's a good one. Short and sweet. I love poetic clarity. I think it's big. Mukin says, I think it's because women secretly want a guy they can't control. They know that most men can be controlled by their beauty, and when some Chad shows up who doesn't answer to anyone and she finds herself unable to control them with her beauty, she feels like her beauty isn't validated, which motivates her to try even harder with him. That is a good point too. Alexander says, if the bad boy gets lucky by taking risks, she wins. If he gets unlucky, she'll bail. In her eyes, with him, she has a better chance to win the lottery. That is a really good point. That's a really good point. I'm going to copy that. As a comment. All right, guys, any final questions? Let's hit the finish line and wrap up this midweek stream. And I'll catch you in 2 days for the Sunday stream. And if I get any space of time, I might upload another video if there's something that pops into my head that's worth talking about. Yeah, Wayne Figgity says, women hate being bored. Positive or negative excitement is still excitement either way. That is true. That is true. All right, guys. Let's wrap it up. There's just too many comments. Sorry, there's just too many comments to go through. Some really good ones, though. All right. Don't forget to subscribe, like, join if you feel like it. And if you've got a microphone, feel free to pop into my public Discord server if you want to chat in real time. If you've got a microphone and know how to use push to talk. I'll catch you there soon with a couple of the other guys, and we'll have a bit of a chat. All right, guys. Have a great week. Have a good end to your week and a good weekend, and I'll catch you very soon. Bye.